Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Branch 458 podcast. I'm Casey Ritchie. I'll be reading the February and March newsletter. We combine those 2 months, so it is a little bit of a larger edition of the newsletter. The editor is Chris Prieto, and it's kind of put together from several officers of our branch. So I'll just jump into it. Sorry I haven't had an episode out in a little bit. It's been kind of a hectic beginning of the year. I've had a lot of travel and then a few personal things. So I'm gonna jump into it and hopefully get back on track with these episodes coming out pretty regularly. So if you just jump in, page 2, there's an article from our vice president, and it's titled "Vice President's Corner." Unscheduled absences. Why give us sick leave if management will punish us for using it? This question seems to be one we stewards hear a lot. Recently in Oklahoma City, a supervisor gave us a document all but confirming that management is using 3 instances or more in the last 90 days to investigate and or issue discipline. Now seems a good time as any to revisit unscheduled absences. The ELM section 511.4 defines unscheduled absences as any absence from work that you are not requested and approved in advance. The employee must make every effort to avoid unscheduled absences and provide acceptable evidence for absences when requested. Management can request documentation for any absence. It is only when an employee misses 4 or more work days in a row that documentation is mandatory. Some documentation tips. Number 1. If management does not specify medical or doctor documentation, have anyone write a note illustrating why you were absent. Number 2, if management does request medical documentation that you do not already possess, go ahead and get your documentation and let your steward know so that they may file a grievance on your behalf. Number 3, when you turn in any documentation, do not give management your only copy. Make one and keep one for yourself. Even better, take a photo and text it to them as proof that you gave it to them. Management also has responsibilities in controlling unscheduled absences. Inform employees of leave regulations, discuss attendance records with employees when warranted, and maintain Form 3972, absence analysis, and any Form 3971, request for a notification of absence. More on 3971s later. Let's discuss some of these responsibilities. Discuss attendance records. At least once a quarter, management should discuss attendance with each employee and relay what will be expected of the carrier during the next quarter. For example, you had 2 unscheduled absences this quarter. Let's see if we can improve on that. Maintain 3972s and 3971s. Form 3972 shows an entire calendar year's attendance data, every scheduled day off, SDO, every time an employee called in or took annual leave, etc. Form 3971s are to be filled out by the carrier after they return to work from an unscheduled absence. Do not sign the computer-generated one management hands you. Fill out one for yourself and turn it in. You never know what you are signing. Management can put anything on that, like AWOL, and then you sign it. If management instructs you to sign it, put signed under duress next to your name, your signature, and let your steward know. Get a copy after management signs that it has been received. If management will not give you a copy, let your steward know so that they may take care of it. If management issues discipline for attendance, sign the paper, put the date, and get a copy of the signed version, not the blank one. Immediately request to see your steward so they can initiate the grievance process. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to talk to your steward. Page 3. This article is written by David Miller. He works out of our MBA's office. He is the RWCA. It's a Regional Workers' Compensation Assistant, I believe. OWCP scheduled awards. Letter carriers who suffer on the job injuries or illnesses are entitled to certain benefits under the Federal Employees Compensation Act, FECA. They include necessary medical care at no cost, reimbursement for transportation or mileage needed to obtain that care, wage loss compensation when the injury results in disability from work, and schedule awards when there is permanent impairment. The schedule award benefit often is not well understood. It is payable when an injured employee has suffered a permanent impairment to a part or function of the body that is listed in the Schedule of Body Functions and member found in the FECA at 5 USC 8107. In this context, impairment is a medical concept as opposed to disability, which is an economic concept reflecting an inability to earn wages. Permanent impairment is defined as the permanent loss or loss of use of body a part of the body. The degree of impairment and ultimately the amount of the scheduled award is determined by medical evaluation. A physician identifies the appropriate diagnosis, makes certain estimates, for example, regarding the result of a joint replacement, whether the result was good, fair, or poor, and or takes a certain measurement, such as range of motion, sensory deficit, joint interval, etc., and then applies those measurements and or estimates to applicable charts and tables found in the AMA Guide to the Evaluation of Permanent Impairment, 6th edition, usually referred to as the AMA Guides. The relevant chart and table provides an impairment percentage rating that corresponds to each measurement and or estimation. Some examples of impairments covered by the AMA guides include sprains, strains, fractures, including something as small as a finger or a toe, torn ligaments, tendons, and joint replacements. See the chart for more specific total impairment values. Using the leg as an example, a leg impairment is set at 288 weeks of pay, and a total knee replacement has a minimum impairment of 21%. The impairment rating of 21% would result in a scheduled award of 60.48 weeks of pay tax-free. For this specific example, the value would be in the tens of thousands of dollars. Some injuries do not qualify for scheduled awards. They include many minor injuries such as skin punctures, think dog bites, minor lacerations, head injuries, and spinal injuries. An exception to spinal injury exclusion is if the spinal injury results in nerve impairment of a covered member, like an arm, leg, etc. On page 4, we have the Central Oklahoma Labor Federation, AFL-CIO, 2025 $1,000 college scholarship. So there's qualification requirements on there. There's scholarship application requirements. Local union must sign off on the member is in good standing, and it looks like applications must be postmarked by February 14th, 2025, and the winner will be notified by April 4th, 2025. So if you have someone in your family going into college, make sure you look at that and apply accordingly. If you need any help with that, you can contact the Union Hall, and I'm sure we'll be able to help you. Page 5 is 2024 NALC Branch 458 Annual Membership Report. So total members, we have 1,008 total members. Active city letter carrier members, 694. Full-time regulars, 544. Part-time regular, 1. Part-time flexible, 10. City carrier assistant, 139. Retired city letter carrier members, 257. Retired members, 191. Life members, 66. Active non-carrier craft members, 19. Retired non-carrier members, 7. Active management members, 28. Retired management members, 3. On page 6, we have scholarship news. Thank you for the following Branch 458 members who donated to the Branch 458 Memorial Scholarship Fund: Eric Bew, Curtis Pittman, Ken Mayfield, Paul Guston, Stratton Weatherly, Bob Bearden, Steve Riggs, and Matt Tanner. There is a slip there for scholarship donations. That is not required, but you can cut that out and send that in with any donations if you choose to do that. Conversions: Zachary Ramage, Oklahoma City PVO. Membership report: Michael Holmstrom, Weatherford. Ethan Kincaid, Spencer. On page 7, we have the stewards that have been appointed by President Ken Mayfield. That is a list of all the stewards for Oklahoma City. On page 8, we have the last punch bunch. A big congratulations to our brother John Payne from Moore and Bruce Vardaman from Midwest City on joining the last punch bunch and successfully making it to retirement. Congratulations. The top photo there on page 8, from left to right, there's Tom Cruise, Doug Anderson, Dan McDonald, Patsy Lundy, Gina Anderson, John Payne, Kurt Vandegrift, and Steve Garner. The bottom photo is Bruce Vardaman. On page 9, in memoriam, Donnie Johnson. Donnie Jean Johnson was born March 19, 1932, to Richard Easter and Stella Bell Proctor Johnson in Elk City, Oklahoma. He passed away on September 30th, 2019, at the age of 87 years, 6 months, and 11 days. He graduated from Merritt High School in 1950 and attended Southwestern State College in Sayre and Weatherford. He served his country in the United States Army in the Tank Corps and was honorably discharged in 1955. He married Reba Nell Owens in Clinton, Oklahoma on April 15th, 1953. They made their home in South Elk City, where he took care of the family farm. He worked for the United States Postal Service as a letter carrier and retired after 30 years of service in 1989. He was preceded in death by his parents and 3 brothers. He is survived by his wife, Reba, of the home, 4 children, Linda Page and husband Jimmy of Hammond, Oklahoma, Debbie Rissinger and husband Gary of Elk City, Oklahoma, Donnie Jean Johnson Jr. and wife, Nancy of Elk City, Oklahoma, Barbara King and husband Johnny of Yukon, Oklahoma, 9 grandchildren, 11 great-grandchildren, and 3 great-great-grandchildren. Funeral services will be held at the Winery Chapel in Elk City, Oklahoma on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019 at 2:00 p.m. Burial will follow at the Fair Lawn Cemetery under the direction of the Winery Funeral Services. There's a link there for his obituary. And then you'll notice that the date is 2019. Our branch just got notified of his passing, Brother Johnson's passing. So we decided to honor him and his memory by printing his obituary in our newsletter. So that's the reason that the date is from 2019. Page 9, continuing. Letter carrier perfect. Lunches, M, 5:45, step 4. Carriers are permitted to pursue personal activities within applicable postal regulations during their authorized lunch period as long as there is no additional expense to the Postal Service. The assigned vehicle is parked at an authorized park point and mail is properly secured. Breaks, M, 424, step 4. The intent of the negotiated breaks for carriers allow that carriers may take their breaks on the line of travel to or from their designated delivery area, and that one or more of their street breaks may be taken in the office as long as such is on street time and duly recorded in the carrier's route book. Comfort stops, M242. Step 4. Reasonable comfort stops will not be deducted from the carrier's actual time. Obligation to employees, M39, section 115.3. The manager has the responsibility to resolve problems before they become grievances. Mutual respect, M39, Section 115.4. The national agreement sets out basic rules and rights governing management and employees in their dealings with each other, but it is the frontline manager who controls management's attempts to maintain an atmosphere between employer and employee which assures mutual respect for each other's rights and responsibilities. Page 10 and 11 are calendars of our members' birthdays. So if you notice anyone that you work with has a birthday in either February or March, make sure you tell them happy birthday. And then we get to the back cover of the newsletter. As always, it has the attendance of our last branch meeting. Everybody was in attendance with the exception of the health benefits, member benefits, and mutual benefits directors. If you remember, our January branch meeting was on the 9th, and that was the day of mourning for President Carter, and it was also the day that we had that ice storm, snowstorm. So it was kind of hard to get to the meeting. Many of those people that weren't present in person were on the Zoom, so just keep that in mind. There's a table of contents there, so you can easily go to the article that you'd like to read. And then upcoming events, Stewards Training is always the first Thursday of every month, and it begins at 6:30 p.m. The next two are on February 6th and March 6th. Branch meetings, those are always on the second Thursday of every month. They begin at 7:30, and for February and March, they are both on the 13th. There's also links there to the Zoom meeting with the branch ID and the passcode, and then also for Stewards Trading, the meeting ID and passcode. We hope to see everybody in person, but of course, if you can't make it, online via Zoom is always an option. Everybody stay safe and have a good couple of months.